Next up on the Cosmic News Network, First Contact with Joshua Pert.
Good morning, Earthlings. Good. How you doing today? Good. How you doing today? Welcome to First Contact Radio. Welcome to First Contact Radio. To talk about all these things we're talking about is because in life, everything is energy. Every single thing that's out there.
Yo, it's First Contact with Joshua Poet. He's the man on the mic, just in case you didn't know it. Covering news from all around the globe, from the weather and space to UFOs. He'll talk politics and make you open your eyes. Conspiracy theories and government lies. They'll dig it all up and try to find the proof. Cause it's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand the truth. It's time.
First Contact Radio.
It's time to demand.
Good morning, Earthlings. How you doing today? We made it to the end of another week. Friday is here. Weekend is upon us. Today is the 4th of October, 10/4. And what we have here is a new moon. New moon that is here today, and a new moon in Libra. Libra is an air sign, so we have a sun sign and a moon sign, both in Libra. So we have that double Libra, double air. Air is words and actions. In tarot cards, Libra is the tarot card of justice. Deals with karmic balance, using our words and our actions to help us, and making sure that we don't say the things or do the things that hurt us. That's the very important aspect of it. So double air. So just remember how air works. When there's lots of air, you want to make sure that it's not all hot air. Okay? Just want to make sure that we're thinking before we're speaking, because a lot of air, a lot of words can just be a lot of words, unless of course there's some sort of purpose behind them. Over the course of the weekend, we see we're still going to be in that Virgo moon tomorrow. I mean the Libra moon tomorrow, and Sunday we make a transition from the Libra moon into the Scorpio right here. So we're going to go from air to water, and then that's where we're going to be when we resume on Monday. New moon, 0% full. That means we are at the new moon today. So new moons are new beginnings of these cycles. Life is filled with cycles within cycles within cycles, and that's one of them today. Mayan Oracle, another cycle here. We're at the end of it. 13-tone day. Cosmic tone is what it's called. So today is a cosmic wizard guided by the mirror. The phrase is, I endure in order to enchant, transcending receptivity. I seal the output of timelessness with the cosmic tone of presence. I am guided by the power of endlessness. Spaceweather.com, solar wind is at 380.2 kilometers per second. Planetary K-index is back down to quiet, 0, between 0 and 2. A few corona holes, or slits in this case, are opening up. Again, they throw solar wind out into the cosmos, and this one says it'll reach us by the 10th or 11th. M-class flares just like yesterday, same as X, and geomagnetic storm activity has dropped down even further, so not a lot going on there. Here is the report from suspicious observers for...
Good morning, folks. The IRIS database having some server trouble this morning. Hopefully you were able to hop on yesterday, catch some of the terrific new images. Remember, folks, the full level 1 and 2 image sets should be available later this month. The goal was to have real-time access hubs like we have for SDO, Stereo, Gong, Soho, etc. Anyway, on to today's top story. This is Climate Corporation, Climate.com. They are an all-agra coverage and prediction specialist that also offers personalized forecasting and other services. They're the top story of today because they were just bought by Monsanto in a bid for major integration of services, still aiming to sell their genetically modified seeds by increasing their value offer. Jackals. Observer-level website members who caught Chapter 2 of Starwater remember Galise 1214b. I showed her because she's a super Earth with water vapor in the atmosphere. Turns out that the highest level water vapor on that planet is actually plasmic. I'm linking Ignacio's ISON prediction here. I mentioned it yesterday after seeing it on spaceweather.com. Bruce Gary's been saying this stuff for weeks. Long-distance discharge event, fading brightness, and breakup potential is precisely the type of thing we do not want to see. Folks, I can't say this enough. Most of you are waiting for a wondrous sight or a killer solar flare, but for months my focus has been the disintegration events before 1 AU, which will be reached by the comet around November 1st. We still get meteor showers from 200-year-old comets. This is year number 1 for ISON. The angle of approach is very, very shallow, and just 4 days after passing Earth's orbital line, ISON punches through the ecliptic plane of Earth, meaning that this comet is very close to intersecting the exact path that Earth will take around our star about 75 days before we get to that January 15th location over on that side of the sun. Last article, if you are a Thunderbolts fan, Walter Russell, James McCanney, anything Electric Universe, you're welcome. Boy, in event mode here, either a 600-foot tsunami found a way to be inconspicuous, or that's not a real reading. North of that, we have only a few days before the Koreas are tagged with this typhoon. Low has begun running across the Eurozone, causing storm conditions, with a steady one to the east bringing colder weather as it pulls hard to the south. Rain arriving at the South Island tonight, and in Perth by tomorrow night. Meanwhile, the United States has 2 serious weather issues. First, Central Low is a major player. He's going to create severe storms on the leading edge and maybe tornadoes. And driving so hard, he's stealing major cold from the north and could make snowstorms, and stealing moisture from Hurricane Karen in the Gulf. Karen, by the way, is ready to pound the coastlines. I advised everyone last night that if you're nearby, get prepared. By tonight, some stores may be low on stocked items, so be smart. And that includes you folks up in the foothills. A little creek in a valley or a 20-year flood zone is not the place to be over the next 5 days. You remember the CME we didn't get to see yesterday morning? NASA said it will miss Earth. And while NOAA initially showed impact to Earth later in the week, they have all but removed that prediction now. There is no solar flaring of note, just some small C flares, and the slight uptick is due to the complexing active regions, but this is still pitifully weak for solar max. Solar wind, calming down now. The geomagnetic turbulence appears over for this event, and the radiation influx is gone now as well. We have 2 incoming coronal holes, one north, one south. ISWA diagnoses their power as moderate but rising indeed. The past day has seen a few locational upticks, but the 6 magnitude mark has not been hit in October, and if the power keeps rising as these holes face Earth, we could see a change there. Eyes open. No fear, it's 6:30 a.m. Eastern Time, and that's the news. Be safe, everyone.
Alright. There you have that. Alright, so let's see. This week I played for you a number of different pieces. One of them was Alex Collier, and it was an interview he did in the 90s. Well, here's another video, and this is Alex Collier 14 years after his 1994 interview. So I thought this would be a pretty good way to wrap things up. That way you got to see the early interview, and then you get to see the later one 14 years later. This just about 2 hours long for the entire piece, so good viewing for the weekend. Here we go. This is Alex Collier's in 2009, 14 years after his initial groundbreaking interview.
Alex, you know, it dawned on me that 14 years ago, Easter weekend 1995, that we last got together and did an interview of any kind. So
I had no idea it was the same weekend.
Yeah, Easter weekend.
Wow.
14 years later.
An interesting coincidence.
Yeah, it is.
Well, it's a pleasure. Sorry it took 14 years to do it again.
I'm glad we're getting the chance today. Hey, so, you know, in the last few years, there's been an awful lot going on in the United States, and I think a lot of people have changed their view of what the United States is really all about. I think they've come to realize that some of the things that we've been doing, that we've allowed our government officials to do, haven't really been in our best interests. Well, tell me about your perception about the direction the United States is headed.
Well, you know, the country is always a reflection of its people. And it is my opinion that, yes, we have a governmental bureaucracy that claims to love America, but clearly by its actions and the laws and the way it's beginning to attack the citizenry, it hates Americans. But really, who's to blame for that? I mean, it's very easy to blame the government, but the government essentially is just our voted representatives. I mean, there is a bureaucracy around that government that manages and does the day-to-day grunt work, but essentially, you know, it's the Congress and the Senate and the executive branch, who we vote for, who we've put into office. Now, I've said this, back in the early 90s, 92, 93, 94, I was saying a lot of this was coming. And you know, really, who do we have to blame? And quite frankly, Rick, we have ourselves to blame. It's the citizens' fault. We abdicated management of the government to a group of politicians who are allowed to take campaign contributions from private industry, from corporations, from the military-industrial complex to do their bidding. We got on with our lives, I guess, mistakenly trusting that our representatives, when they took the oath of office, actually meant it. Obviously, they didn't. Because now what we have is a horrible situation. We have a government that isn't in any way, shape, or form a representative of the Constitution or even the Bill of Rights. In fact, those two documents barely exist at all. The government isn't acting like they exist, and they're going to continue to do what they want to do or what their bidding is, what they're being told to do. So let me put it to you that way, what they're being told to do. So, you know, it's the people. We screwed up. We didn't manage the government. We didn't pay attention to what they were doing. As long as there was food on the shelves, as long as gas was cheap, as long as everybody was working, nobody cared. But guess what? Reality's hit home now. Now we have a government spending our dollar into absolute oblivion. We also have devaluation of the dollar. You know, the chickens are coming home to roost, and now everybody's beginning to wake up and saying, oh my God, what the hell have these guys been doing? And, you know, now we know. You know, it's out there, and it's at a point where they're not even bothering to hide it anymore. So, you know, what the question really comes down to is this. America is changing dramatically, and it's changing very, very fast. And it really comes down to a very simple premise, in my perspective. Do you want freedom and liberty, or do you want socialism? Now, there are some dramatic differences between the two. One requires self-responsibility and self-government. The other is you become a natural resource of the state, and they will tell you what to do, when to do it, and how to do it. And if for any reason at any time they decide they no longer need you, as Henry Kissinger so aptly put it, then we all become useless eaters. So this is where it's at. There is no really middle road as I see it. I think everybody waiting for one man to do something, for example, President Obama, to change the company, to change the government, to change the world, is ridiculous. He is just one guy, and you know, the governments of the world are not run by offices, they're run by corporations. They're run by corporations, and those corporations are run by a program. And that program essentially has control of everything. It controls the money, it controls the technology, it controls the governments, it controls the media. And some of the personages within that program are not us. They're extraterrestrial. And I know many people will say, oh, that can't be, it never happened. Well, it doesn't matter at this point what they think. What is what is. And that's where we are. And now it's all coming to the forefront. And the next couple of years are going to be just the most interesting and the most full of growth opportunities for people, dark night of the souls for many people, and an opportunity to not only change the way we live, but also the way to change our perspectives on how we want to live. And, really think about what really is important. Is it the money? Is it the dollar? Is it the big car? Is it the $1 million home? It isn't any of that. It's our family and it's our friends. We don't need all this crap. We just don't. What's important is who we are. Where are we going with ourselves? Have people looked inside themselves and said, I do all this work, I support all these other things and all these other people. Am I actually fulfilling what I want to do? Am I, in fact, following my passion? Am I truly happy with my effort and what I've done? Have I made any difference whatsoever in what's going on here in the world? Now, if you can be a clerk in a 7-Eleven and say, yeah, this is my life's fulfillment, well, bully for you. Great. But I know that in actuality that's far and few in between. People really need to start evaluating and get extremely creative and figure out what is it that they can do to fulfill themselves, to fulfill their dreams, to at least know what those dreams are and start going after it. Folks, it isn't about the extraterrestrials, though that's important because it'll give us a different perspective of who we are. Ultimately, when you come right down to it, the question that has to be asked is, who am I? What is it that I want? What is it that I'm creating? What is it that I want to create? How much am I actually valued by myself, my family? Am I loved? Am I respected? Am I following my heart's desire? Am I spiritually evolving? Or am I just on this automatic treadmill that the media and the Earth's religions have put us on? You feel good on Sunday, but by Wednesday it's just like, it's all worn off. And that's because it's not genuine. It's not genuine depth. It's not genuine happiness. Okay, it's instant salvation. And that doesn't work. And it's not that anybody actually needs salvation. They just need to love themselves. And in finding that, and in truly embracing that love, that passion for themselves, and honoring themselves, you'd be amazed at how much crap that's in your life will just fall away. Because, what isn't real will just fall away when you're actually on your path. And I can't tell people what their path is. I'm still working on my path. But it's all about self-responsibility. And that isn't going to change. That's where the real growth, that's where the real evolution comes from. In America, we had that opportunity, and we did it for some time. But for the last 50 years, God, it's just gone downhill. I mean, we've had this incredible opportunity to change the world, and now the world's very upset with us. And
let's take a look at that for a second.
All right, I'm going to leave that. I'm going to leave that there. You can watch the rest because it's, like I said, it's just shy of 2 hours long. UFO news is up next. Stay tuned.
This is the UFO News with Joshua Poet.
All right, Dirk. Thank you very much. Today, 4 stories. Story number 1 comes to us. This is from Macedonia. This goes back into the 20th of September. Video footage is 1:46 seconds long. I looked at the sky. One red ball. It flew very slowly, and at a point it stopped. I started to go back and stopped. Then I recorded it. Okay, so this is our object in question, just kind of hanging there. It says the red building is split in 3 parts, but it shows only a snapshot of the computer with the naked eye. Okay, so anyway, there you go. Object in question, just a good old red ball. Alright, we're going to move from there to our next piece. This is over our fun to pronounce volcano in Mexico, Popocatepetl. And says this live cam is actually almost live. It takes photos, not videos, every 10 to 15 seconds. Sometimes you have to force or renew the page to get a new photo so often. Below are 2 links to 2 different views of this volcano. It's nighttime now. The cam is black. Wait a few hours and you may catch a UFO. I see them every 3 to 5 days. Alright, so the links are right here to the 2 cameras, and yep, you can catch something. I've gone and used those links before, and I have found stuff just sitting there randomly during the daytime. Okay, links right here. Next, this was the Michigan UFO that was caught on the security camera. It's a really incredible video. You find the UFO enters the video at the following marks: 30, 329, and also at 448. Providing that this video turns out to be legitimate, no reason to suspect otherwise, then this is proof of ETs or our government has some type of technology that far exceeds our own capabilities. Poster said amazing footage of what I captured on my home security camera in the last night, October 2nd, around the evening in the front yard of southeast Michigan. I'm about 8 miles north of a National Air Guard base, wondering if they caught this in their radar. Okay, so he said the 30 mark. Is that something right there? We go. Well, that's a pretty darn good sized light. Very interesting what that one is. That's a nice bright one. Very fascinating. Okay. And it goes back up, then it comes back down later. Alright, so I'm going to leave that available for you. And I'm going to move on to the last piece, and this is a very good question. It's been brought up before. UFOs, do some of them come from an inner Earth paradise? Do UFOs or flying saucers originate from an inner Earth paradise? That may sound like it's kind of a stretch, but a selection of books from Tim Beckley's Global Communications and Inner Light publications make the argument that they most certainly do, eschewing any beliefs that the mysterious visitors come from outer space at all. The most recent offering to make the case for Inner Earth Paradise is called The Smoky God and Other Inner Earth Mysteries, and includes a reprint of a book by a Norwegian fisherman called Olav Jansen. Jansen claims to have journeyed by boat with his father to a lush, peaceful, land occupied by a race of kindly giants. My father, James Wright, was an ardent believer in Odin and Thor, and had frequently told me they were gods who came from far beyond the north wind. There was a tradition, my father explained, and still further northward was a land more beautiful than any mortal man had ever known, and it was inhabited by the chosen. One day, father and son decided to actually travel to the land of the chosen and take a detour from their fishing trip to sail due north. Instead of forbidding frozen wasteland, they find the land of Smoky God, a place inside the hollow earth. Jansen's book is introduced by an American writer named Willis George Emerson, who befriended Jansen in Norseman's last days, which were spent rather idyllically in a bungalow in Los Angeles. According to Emerson, take an eggshell from each break piece as large as the end of a pencil, extract its contents, and you'll have a perfect representation of Olaf's Jansen's Earth. The distance from the inside surface to the outside, according to him, is about 300 miles. Alright, very interesting. A lot more to the article. You know, this is the Commander Admiral Byrd also had his stories about that when he was on his expeditions to the North Pole, that he discovered a large hole, which he claims he witnessed things flying in and out of that hole. And there's the theory that there's 5 races living inside the planet. One of those gentlemen who spoke about this was a Dr. Frank Stranges. Talked about the 5 different races that were there: Bigfoot, Greys, I forget what the other ones were, but those were 2 of them. And I'll find some stuff on Frank Stranges, and we'll talk about him in one of the upcoming shows. How's that? Anyway, that's our UFO news for today. Stay tuned. I'll be right back. I have a bunch more. things to tell you. Stay tuned.
What if our government was responsible for some of the greatest crimes against this nation? Would you really want to know? These are big questions, but these questions deserve answers. It's time to demand the truth.
People should not be afraid of their governments. Government should be afraid.
9/11 was an inside job. Kennedy was killed by the CIA. Jimmy Carter saw UFO. Answers to secrets you need to know. So wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. The evidence is overwhelming. Step past your fear, take a look. Illuminati lies keep growing, but they're illusion from your eyes. And wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What would our founding fathers say if they were alive today? Must be turning in their graves. Redcoats are coming, Big Brother's watching. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. What if I land and two if I see? And I on the opposite shore will be ready to ride and spread the alarm through every Middlesex village and farm. Whenever any form of government becomes destructive of these ends, it is the right of the people to alter or abolish it. When a long train of abuses and usurpations, pursuing invariably the same object, evinces a design to reduce them under absolute despotism, it is their right, it is their duty to throw off such government and to provide new guards for their future security. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. Wake up, wake up, wake up. Patriots arise. It's time to demand the truth.
Okay. Are you ready to demand the truth? I think in life, more people every day are ready to demand the truth. There are certainly those who are out there who are clueless about what's going on in the world, but there are those who are waking up, and sometimes it seems faster than others, sometimes it seems slower, but people are still waking up. I think this whole situation that's gone on now with this Obamacare and how it's being forced onto everybody, it's starting to, well, people are starting to realize they didn't really understand what was going on because a lot of people are asleep through life. And now suddenly they're like, what? We got to sign up for this. Is this something we have to get? You know, people don't know. I thought it was free. You know, people are certainly unaware because there's a lot of smoke screens that go out there. But unfortunately, people are unaware because, well, they're being dumbed down. And it's sad to see how people, Americans, or anyone around the world is being dumbed down. I don't understand it. I mean, you would think a person would at least have enough pride in their own self to be able to learn and want to learn, you know, but I don't know. It's weird. Weird times we're living in. I'm preaching to the choir. You already know. Okay, this is Charlie McGrath. Haven't heard his perspective in a little bit, so let's check it out. It's called Standard of Living is Headed Down the Toilet.
Hi, my name's Sean McGrath. I'm the founder of WideAwakeNews.com and a host on the Rinse Radio Network. The government shut down. We have the debt ceiling increase coming, and these stories are being put out every single day to scare the people of this country. right? We need to pass a budget. We need to put this country another $1 trillion in debt, a continuing resolution to keep the government going, and we have to raise the debt ceiling in order to do it. While this is going on, while this governed by crisis that they've used time and time again over the last several years to polarize the nation and terrorize the nation at the same time, I want to share something with you that truly shows the course of the workforce in this country, where we're going as a nation when it comes to good-paying jobs. Today, pharmaceutical giant Merck's announced that it was cutting another 8,500 jobs on the back of 7,500 they cut earlier this year. Now, it was just back at the beginning of September when Merck sent a letter to Congress, to Nancy Pelosi and John Bonner, begging them to loosen the immigration policy so they could get cheap labor into this country to replace the 16,000 Americans who've lost their jobs and will lose their job in the next year. But they're not alone. HP, Cisco, United Technologies, Cigna, Texas Instrument. In fact, over 100 top corporations signed that letter. They all claim they can't be competitive in the global market. What does that mean? That means you, the American people, are getting paid too much in the minds of these corporate CEOs. So what's going to happen? We're going to see the standard of living fall for the average in this country. We're going to see personal income continue to fall. And we're going to see more and more people suffering as we watch somebody coming from another land to do these jobs for less money. Now, that would be okay if we were sitting in an economy that was bustling and booming and everybody that wanted to work could find a good paying job with a living wage that they could provide for their family. But that isn't the case. It's far, far more grim than that. 21 million people truly unemployed in this nation. 47 million people are living in poverty in a nation of 310 million. 48 million are on food stamps. Personal income continues to fall. Net worth continues to fall for the average person in this country. And the very, very small percentage continue to get more and more wealthy. The fact is, the average household in this country right now is experiencing a debt load, a sovereign debt load of $751,704. We can't find good paying jobs, and when we do, we're having these corporate executives decide it's time to cut these jobs so we can bring cheap labor in to do it. And they're urging Washington, D.C. to follow their lead. And of course they will, because they are the ones who are providing all the financial special interests to these people like Bonner and Pelosi to keep them in positions of power. They're going to distract us with a government shutdown, distract us with another debt ceiling debate, and we're going to wake up in a nation one day where we are brought down to the lowest common denominator on the planet. Understand something. There is no desire to boost the standard of living of Americans in this country. It's quite to the opposite. And if we open our eyes and cut through the fluff of the mainstream propagandist media, we will see the truth. Stories are attached. That's all I got.
Okay. So, I'd like to add something on to what he had said. He had talked about the net worth goes down, and he's right. But also with that, self-worth. That's the important thing that takes place psychologically, a person's self-worth. So through these times we're going, and there's a lot of damage that is done. When a person is used to going out there and earning a certain amount for the skills that they can offer, and suddenly that changes, and it changes their net worth, it changes how a person feels about themselves. We have a lot of skilled individuals in this country. We shouldn't be taking away from the skilled individuals and what they could do. We should find a way to keep our system going. But we do need to make some changes because there's a lot of problems with it. A lot of problems. It's a system that seems to be broken, and we're trying to fix a broken system. The crazy part about it is in this country, just in the United States, I know that there are millions of really smart individuals that know how to make organizations run properly. And so if we just ditched the crappy way in which the government system is set up, if we ditch that broken system and put something in place that will work, I have no doubts that we could figure it out and put it together. We just have this roadblock called the government, which has gotten too big. And it's gotten so big that it's hurting things. It's hurting people. Well, here's this Obamacare. And I wanted to post this because these are ACA exemptions. Okay? These are exemptions from Obamacare. All about Obamacare and the ACA. Alright? And let's go over here. Let me check something out real quick here. Let's be up front and open. I am a conservative. There's a lot of things about the Obama administration has done that I do not agree with. I believe that a large part President Obama was trying to do good with the Affordable Care Act, pieces of medical procedures. Prices have been spiraling out of control. Fewer and fewer people are covered by even costlier insurance. Large parts of the plan we adopted from the Heritage Foundation recommendations. For those not familiar with the Heritage Foundation, it is a conservative think tank with a conservative idea and a Democratic president pushing for passage. It would seem like the Affordable Care Act would have been a popular piece of legislation. I personally do not like the Affordable Care Act. Under a lot of conservatives, I don't dislike the Affordable Care because it ultimately was a Democratic initiative. I dislike it because it is poorly thought out and poorly written law. Okay, so if we go on here and we just see what the ACA is explained, provisions, the White House and Staffer Act to House Representatives. Doesn't really get into but anyway, let me just back up here. Let's just go to the exemptions here. Okay, these are companies who are exempting out of Obamacare, and you can see it's a long list, a long list of all these companies. So not only do we have Congress that is exempted and the president and people in the government that don't like it, but look at all of these companies upon companies upon companies. And then the other day you heard about Florida not going to allow Obamacare navigators in there, and I heard Indiana is getting an exemption, trying to get an exemption or getting one for a year. I mean, this list just goes on. Okay? If this was really such a great service, wouldn't more people want to have it? And the fact that they don't, especially when it's Congress, the very organization that is telling us we have to have it. Silly, folks, very silly. All right, so last week I played a story for you, or ran a story for you, this one right here. Actually, it was the beginning of the week. First responders to train in an exercise to train in the nation's capital. Says that seeing emergency vehicles and first responders in action unfortunately are not new to the residents of the nation's capital, but beginning September 30th and going through the 3rd, actually if you look at the documentation it goes through the 5th, these images will be a sign that not be a sign that something has gone terribly wrong, but that various government agencies are preparing for the next incident. Capitol Shield is a joint training exercise in the nation's capital, or NCR, that runs from September 30th through October 3rd, and is hosted by the Joint Force Headquarters, National Capital Region. It brings federal, state, local, municipal agencies together to realistically test interagency operability during a crisis impacting the District of Columbia, Virginia, and Maryland. More than 38 participating agencies from the Department of Defense and Capital Region response agencies will perform mock casualty rescues, defense support, and civil agency technical rescues, and law enforcement technical responses. The goal of this exercise is to ensure government agencies at every level are prepared to coordinate action to protect the public in the event of an actual disaster in the nation capital region. Why do I read this to you? Because yesterday in the same area where this drill is taking place, let me say that again, yesterday in the same area where 38 agencies are doing an exercise from the 30th to the 3rd and possibly the 5th, in the same area, okay? I'm just trying to get you to understand. Same area where the exercise that was scheduled is going on, this happened. A woman that led police on chase in D.C. is ID'd. A woman who had been identified as 34-year-old Miriam Carey with a 1-year-old girl led Secret Service and police on a harrowing chase from the White House past Capitol Thursday, attempting to penetrate the security barriers as both national landmarks before she was shot to death. Police said the child was unhurt. So this happened during an exercise in an area that was closed off for an exercise. And you know what even another miracle was? It just so happened that there, ready to film this, was a cameraman from Al Hurra. You might have seen the news when they're showing this over and over, there's a little tag on there that says Al Hurra. You know who that is? It's an Arabic news station funded by the United States Congress that shows its news in Arab countries and in Africa. How lucky for us that during the time of this exercise, when this incident occurred, that there happened to be a cameraman from Al Hurra who happened to be there to capture the whole event, because it went pretty quick, so they just happened to be at the right place at the right time. How lucky for us that they were there and then could broadcast that through their Arabic networks, and then we here in the United States were so lucky to be able to pick that up. How fortunate for us that they happen to be there. I don't see any coincidence here, do you? I mean, there's an exercise, and then in the same area they have this. Do you see a coincidence? I see a big coincidence. I asked somebody this the other day, and they said, I don't really see the connection. Moving on. Don't know what else to say to that one. Do you see the connection? Okay? They're playing people for fools, and they're not even hiding it as good as they used to. It's sad. And then there's stories about the woman. Says that the area she's from, people have tracked it down, say it's the same area where the Sandy Hook is from, in that general area. Again, too much weirdness. Too much weirdness. I think it goes back to this. I played this piece before, and I proudly play it again because I think there's some significance to this. Here we go.
Did Jesus really reveal the name of the Antichrist? I will report the facts. You can decide. In Luke chapter 10, verse 18, Jesus said these words, And he said unto them, I beheld Satan as lightning falling from the heavens. These words are written in Greek and translated to English. However, Jesus spoke these words originally in Aramaic, which is the most ancient form of Hebrew. As you know, the Old Testament was written in Hebrew. If a modern Jewish rabbi were to speak these words of Jesus today, he would speak them in Hebrew, much the same way that Jesus would have spoken them. So in Hebrew, Jesus said that he saw Satan falling as lightning from the heights or from the heavens. So what are the words for lightning and heights or heavens in Hebrew? From the Strong's Hebrew Dictionary, word number 1299, a primitive root word meaning to lighten or lightning or to cast forth, the word is barak. In the Strong's Hebrew Dictionary, word number 1300, lightning, or by analogy a gleam, a flashing sword, or a brightness or a glittering, the Hebrew word is barak. So lightning, or a flash of light, in Hebrew is pronounced barak or barak. Now consider this amazing fact. The book of Isaiah is the source of origin for the Christian concept and understanding of Satan, or Lucifer, as Isaiah calls him, in chapter 14, especially in verses 12 through 19. In Isaiah chapter 14, verse 14, Lucifer, or Satan, is credited with these words, I will ascend above the heights of the clouds. I will be like the Most High. In the verses of Isaiah that refer directly to Lucifer, several times it is mentioned that Satan has fallen from the heights, or from the heavens. The Hebrew word used in this text for the heights from which Satan fell is Strong's Hebrew word 1116, pronounced Bama. Bama is most commonly used to refer to a high sacred place, as well as to the heights of the heavens or the clouds. In Hebrew, the letter Wa is often transliterated as a U. Some scholars use the O for this transliteration. It is primarily used as a conjunction to join concepts together. So to join in Hebrew poetry the concept of lightning or barak and a high place like heaven or the heights of heaven, the letter U, or sometimes O, the Hebrew letter Wa, would be used. So, barak o bama, or barak u bama, in Hebrew poetry, similar to the style written in Isaiah, would translate literally as lightning and the heights or the heavens. or lightning from the heights of the skies or the heavens. The word Satan is Satan in Hebrew, a direct translation. So back to Jesus' prophecy in Luke chapter 10, verse 18. If spoken by a Jewish rabbi today, influenced by the poetry of Isaiah, he would say these words in Hebrew, the words of Jesus in Luke chapter 10, verse 18 as, "And I saw Satan as Barak Ubama." Did Jesus reveal to us the name of the Antichrist? I report, you decide.
Okay, now, something to consider. I know some of you say, oh, that translation has been debunked. You know what? There's one translation out there that says exactly what you just saw. Okay? There doesn't need to be 100 translations out there that say this. There only needs to be one. One translation that shows us what's going on. Let him who have ears, let him hear, and those with eyes, let him see. You know, for many individuals, and for most everybody on this planet, are told to listen to the words of Jesus and to read the Bible. Here you have the Bible, and here you have Jesus, and here you have words that are supposed to be transcribed from his words in English to the Aramaic equivalent. And in that one translation, it happens to announce the name or give a name of the president that we have right now. A president who, when he was elected, the winning lottery numbers were 666. A president who is called Renegade and rides around in the Beast, both names attributed to the Antichrist. A president whose name shows up in the Bible code in the most significant passage of the Antichrist. A president who has spent millions of dollars to keep his background closed, so we don't really know who he is, because all indications are that he is a Muslim, does not have the same interest as every American, and then he's tearing apart the country in the way that he's doing, stepping all over the Constitution. All of this seems to fit, and if you just understand this much, you'll understand a whole lot. So if you're someone out there who listens to what Jesus says and finds the words of Jesus very important, I would expect that you would look at this material a bit closer rather than dismiss it so easily. Because if you're able to listen to something that Jesus said and dismiss it, then I have to question how much you really are paying attention to what Jesus has to say. Just a reality check for you, because I hear a lot of talk from a lot of people. And now is the time to put your money where your mouth is. You believe in Jesus, you believe what he's about, then you need to pay attention to what he's saying. Didn't just say him just for the heck of it. Again, let those with ears let them hear, and those with eyes let them see. Alright? Alright. Moving right along. This is a message, one of the channeled messages from Jesus. And, you know, all of these, they put the label here, Galactic Federation of Light. Now, I don't know necessarily that Jesus is up there with the Galactic Federation of Light, other than this is a channeled message. And I know how some of you feel about the Galactic Federation of Light. You're not certain. Some of you think that they're the bad guys. Some of you think they're the good guys. So, go to the website, firstcontactradio.com. Right-hand corner, can't miss it, it's a poll. Answer the poll. Let me know what you think. Okay, do you think the Galactic Federation is an enemy, out to get us? Do you think they're an ally, out to help us? Do you think they're a creation of the United States government? Or do you not sure what they are? Fill it out, let me know, and we'll have some ideas. Alright, here we go. This is message from Jesus.
Jesus, There is No Sin.
September 28, 2013, by John Smallman.
Many of you are experiencing emotional turmoil as your unaddressed issues keep bursting into your awareness in ways that seriously unsettle you but which do not seem to have any identifiable cause. All you need to do is acknowledge them. There is absolutely no need at all to identify a cause or a lesson that they might be presenting to you which requires you to offer restitution or self-abasement. By simply accepting them and letting them be, letting them, as it were, rest in your conscious awareness, you release your attachment to them so that they can pass through, as they will, rather like the weather. It is a case of allowing yourselves to forgive yourselves for any and all errors and mistakes, including any belief that some of your deeply buried and unrecognized thoughts, words, or actions may have seriously harmed others. Your discomfort arises from unacknowledged issues that you have denied because you fear that you have done things and taken part in activities that are unforgivable. But all that is part of the illusion and in truth never happened, because it is illusory, unreal. You are all beings of love, and although you have at times apparently misbehaved, it is now time for you to release any guilt, shame, or emotional suffering by allowing it to pass through your minds without engaging with it. Love is reasserting itself as your true essence and dissolving every remaining unreal and unloving aspect of yourselves that you have clung to, along with the illusion itself. There is no sin. All consciousness is one with God, who is infinite love and infinite abundance, and therefore every conscious entity is and always has been pure love and nothing else. That is difficult for you to grasp as you observe the conflicts on earth, both present and from your long history, and the immense amounts of suffering that they have caused. In the illusion there is and has been much suffering that humanity has experienced as very, very real, but you are all on your paths out of the illusion and home to reality where your true presence has always been, and where you remain, eternally present. Love is your nature, and at the depths of your essence, as you experience it in the illusion, you have no desire and never have had the desire or intent to hurt or offend anyone, even though you have engaged in a game of doing so. Love, you as you truly are, could never intend anything that is in the slightest way unloving because there is nothing that is unloving. Within the illusion that incontrovertible truth seems impossible to believe or accept, and that is why you find it so difficult to forgive, unless and until you have seen the guilty one yourself or another discovered, judged, blamed, shamed, and punished. This is the biggest stumbling block on your path to awakening, non-forgiveness. The absolute essentiality of forgiving, if personal peace and self-acceptance is to be achieved, is now recognized by mainstream psychology. It is a very recent recognition. Previously, and for eons, all that is unforgiving was believed to be normal because even the gods you had invented would not forgive. In the last 100 years enormous progress has been made by humanity on its spiritual path of evolution, as shown just by your recognition of this one momentous but long-denied truth. Nevertheless, there are still many on earth who, because of the pain and suffering they have undergone in their present lives or in past ones, are unable and unwilling to accept that forgiveness is a loving balm that heals all wounds. Those of you reading or listening to this know this is the truth, but some of you also have difficulty with it because of your own personal and very intense suffering, or, more likely, due to your awareness of and involvement in the apparently utterly unjustifiable suffering that others are undergoing. So when you go within to that quiet and inviolate inner space to which each of you has access, ask those in the spiritual realms on whom you call for help to assist you in understanding and then accepting that forgiveness is the balm that heals all wounds. Then practice forgiving. Not conditional forgiving, only if that person acknowledges their error, apologizes, or promises never again to make it, will I forgive them. But unconditional forgiving without any conditions at all. By doing so you release the charge you have on the one you are forgiving, and the words or actions which caused you pain no longer fester in your mind, demanding restitution or an apology which may never be forthcoming. By holding on to offenses committed against you, you deny yourselves healing and cause yourselves further pain. By forgiving, you free yourselves, your stress levels fall, and you start to live in the now moment where you can enjoy smelling the roses. Keep reminding yourselves, forgiveness is the loving balm that heals all wounds. Deep within, you know this is the truth, so practice it until it becomes automatic, and enjoy the peace, the calm, and the freedom it brings you. And when you have forgiven, a most amazing thing will happen. Because, love having filled your heart, you will realize that in truth there was never anything to forgive, because there is only love which can never be hurt, offended, or angered. It can only love. Your loving brother, Jesus.
Alright, very nice message. That takes us to our angel message for today. The message is: maintain your faith, hope, and trust. Something positive is on its way. Maintain your faith, your hope, and your trust. Something positive is on its way. Good news. We always like the positive. And here is our meditation. So close your eyes. Take a deep breath. Exhale. Take another deep breath. Exhale again. Alright, I want you to imagine yourself walking through the streets of life. And as you're walking through, I want you to feel all the heaviness of life. I want you to feel as if you've got these chains around your ankles and your wrists, and you're dragging them along. I want you to feel soreness in your muscles from dragging them, and just a tiredness from carrying so much weight. And as you look at these chains, you see that there are names written on these chains, and they all represent the things that you're holding against others. Then you realize some of these chains you've dragged along for years and years. And you've come to the point where you no longer want to carry this. So you decide to let go. And the way you let go is by forgiving. So you look at the chains around your left arm, and you see the names on those chains. And you think of those individuals and you just forgive them. And just let the universe know that you forgive whoever that person is that you felt offended by. And as you forgive, truly forgive, not waiting or expecting any response from them, but just truly forgive, the chain falls off your arm. And you look at your right arm and you look at the names on the chains, and you go ahead and you forgive those individuals as well. Well, the chain falls away. And as you continue to look at the chains and read the names and then send forgiveness to that individual, not only do the chains drop away, but your energy returns. Any place where you felt wounded or injured feels healed, healthy. And you realize that the only one that was hurting you has been you over all of these years. And that by completely forgiving, the number one person you're forgiving is yourself. And as you forgive and let go, you realize that the things you held on to were just things that really don't have importance in the big picture. Just things that we get personally hurt by. Things that affect our egos. But by letting go of them, we feel even better. So just imagine sitting in that place of complete forgiveness. All the chains have been released from your body. The pains are gone. And your mind is filled with faith. And you feel completely energized, filled with life. And last, I just want you to think the word love, and imagine sending love to all of those people around the planet. Just send love without any conditions on anything returning, just sending love for the sake of sending love. Imagine the color green going around the planet. Imagine the earth smiling as love is sent down to it, and then the love is sent into the cosmos, and imagine the cosmos smiling down. And as we go forth this weekend, let's just send love love and forgiveness. Let's make that our activity for the weekend. To love and to forgive and to love. So let the subconscious mind continue on that journey. And let's bring the conscious mind back on the present, to the present moment on the count of 3. 3, coming back to the present moment filled with confidence. 2, coming back to the present moment filled with faith. And 1, coming back to the present moment happy, healthy, and whole. Happy, healthy, and whole. Take another deep breath. Exhale. And open your eyes. That's it, my friends. That is the show for today. Thank you very much for being here. Just love and forgiveness. Let's see what happens if we send that out into the world. There's enough anger, there's enough hatred, and all the other nonsense that's going on. But let's flip the script. Do something different. Because by sending out love and forgiving each other, imagine what we could do. We've got enough problems fighting the government that's trying to impose its will on us. We have to stop fighting with each other, forgive each other, and come together as a family of divinity down here upon this planet. I'm not talking about a new world order, I'm talking about the divine plan unfolding in each and every one of us. All we have to do is love and forgive. Sometimes it's that simple, but it can seem so far away. Let's just do the simple part. Alright? I'll be back on Monday. Love you. Have a great weekend. Talk to you soon. Peace. I'm out of here. I'm going to send you out with Great Spirit.
Come into our circle, Great Spirit. Fill our souls with peace